Welcome to this latest CarGurus UK review, and welcome also to this. It's the new Genesis GV80, and as you might be able to see, you can drive it without actually being inside it. You just use this key. The reason being, it's so big that if you're in a tight parking space, you might need the car to drive in or out without you, without you actually being inside it. Now, for those unfamiliar, Genesis is Hyundai's premium brand. It's new for Europe this year. Switch it off, but it's actually been around since 2015. It's been sold in markets including South Korea, China and the US. This GV80 is one of a handful of models that are coming to the UK, and as we're about to find out, it represents a promising start. Intrigued by the GV80? Then keep watching. And while you're here, why not hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you're kept up to date with when our latest videos go live. Beauty, as we all know, is in the eye of the beholder. And with that in mind, we really do want to know what you guys think of the GV80. Has Genesis smashed this out of the park, or is it missing the mark? Remember too what cars the GV80 is up against. Think heavyweights such as the BMW X5, Audi Q7, Mercedes GLE, Range Rover Velar, Volvo XC90 and Lexus RX. That's tough opposition by any measure, but if you want my view, I think this GV80, it really does measure up. My colleague Vicky Parrott described it as Bentley meets Volvo XC90, and I think that sums it up really well. It has this kind of mixture of brashness and elegance, probably seen in this grille more than anywhere else, that allows it to stand out. And it does attract attention too. I've had a few people come up to me and one, ask what it is, and two, say how good it looks, and I've never had that with any of its rivals. Talking of standing out, our test car rolls on 22-inch wheels, which come as part of the luxury line specification. Entry-level premium line models come on 20-inch wheels as standard. So clearly the GV80 is a car with lots of road presence, and that really does apply at the back as well, because this is a big car and it really doesn't try to hide that in any way. It's designed to look big and purposeful on the road, and it also, because it's a new car arriving in 2021, has its name written across the back, because you seemingly can't launch a car in 2021 without that. It also has a two-spoke steering wheel, again very on trend at the moment. The boot has a powered tailgate. That comes as standard, and that really speaks to the generous levels of equipment that you get with a Genesis. It's a bit like Lexus in that regard. They throw in most things as standard. The one thing you don't get as standard are 7 seats. That's an optional upgrade. It doesn't feature on this test car. This is a 5-seat model. The boot though is massive, predictably. It's a massive car. Flat loading lip, that's good. There is a bit of underfloor storage here where you can store the parcel shelf if you need to. And if you want to drop the rear seats, there are buttons here. Simple as that, they go completely flat. So, as I mentioned, 5-seat model. I'll just pop that one back. And, I mean, you would hope it would be massive in here, wouldn't you? Because it's such a big car. And it really is. This is such a roomy car in the back. Loads of shoulder room, clearly loads of leg room, loads of headroom. It's a really nice place to be, particularly because these windows are so long. They let in a lot of light. Obviously we've got a nice pale interior in here as well, which helps, but it feels like a very light and airy car, and that's even without the panoramic roof, which is one of the few optional extras you can specify on a GV80. Now if you're going in the middle, there is a small transmission tunnel, but actually I've got size 11 feet and they fit quite comfortably in there. Plus the footwells are wide enough that I can share with my other passengers, that's fine. This is wide enough so it feels comfortable underneath. The backrest is a bit firm, that's the only thing. But no, certainly in these outer 2 seats, really comfy. You can slide them forward and recline the backrests as you would expect. And the other thing to note is that this is the higher spec of the 2 trim levels. We get rear heated seats and rear climate as well. So all in all, back seat, it's really fantastic in the GV80. Now, up here in the front, it really is very pleasant indeed. I think the design and quality, Genesis really is knocking on the door here of BMW, Audi, Mercedes. It's a lovely cabin. Material quality is excellent. Some of the detailing, like around this gear selector here, is beautiful. And actually the finishes as well, this metal and this wood paneling look really good. And also the other thing I've noticed about this car is when you start to sort of prod down the lower surfaces, even these have a nice sort of rubberized, cushioned feel. Yeah, it feels like a really high quality product. Storage is taken care of via a large centre armrest cubby, more room under the transmission tunnel, 2 cup holders, a phone tray with USB ports, big door bins and a glove box that's just about large enough to house the car's chunky handbooks. Driving position wise, these seats, they adjust 18 different ways as standard, and this steering wheel adjusts electrically as well. You will be able to get comfortable in this car, believe me. And it does also have that feeling of a big Range Rover-like SUV when you're driving it. Detail wise, it does bug me that the font here on the heating controls is different to the font used here and on the steering wheel. I don't know why they've done that, but that really is nitpicking. Probably more important is to focus on things like the fact there is separate heater controls, so you don't have to go through the touchscreen for that. You just use these buttons and then slide here to adjust things like the fan speed. I think the really important thing about the GV80, given that, you know, as tested, this one is almost £70,000, it does feel like a car that costs almost £70,000. It doesn't feel like a posh Hyundai in any stretch of the imagination. This feels like a bespoke, really high quality product. And clearly you can't have a premium SUV these days without lots of screens. In the Genesis case, there's one here for the dials. It's actually a 3D floating display, so elements of it sort of float on top of where the dials are. It actually reminds me of one of those Tomitronic headsets you used to get in the 90s, which kind of shows my age, doesn't it? The main infotainment system uses this ultra sharp 14.5 inch screen, which gives the GV80 a really high-tech feel. There's a lot to like about this infotainment system, not least the clarity of the display. This screen is so sharp. Now the menu system, it's generally fairly intuitive. Some things take a while to get to, but to be honest, all of these infotainment systems these days can do so much that you do have to sit and learn them before you can expect to use them on the move. In terms of controlling it, you've got touch here. If you want to go to this side of the screen, it's a little bit of a stretch, but actually there's a shortcut side down here, and that's mostly what you're going to be using on the move, and that's easy to reach. Or you can use this, which is a scroll wheel and clicker down here. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do when you set off in your GV80 is quite possibly going to be to switch off the active lane keeping assist. This comes on automatically every time you start the car, and it is a bit overzealous. Great on the motorway, don't get me wrong, really helpful, but on a typical A or B road, it does tend to wrestle the steering wheel in your hands when you're not quite expecting it. Now, to do that, you can either go into the touchscreen, which is a bit fiddly, or as a shortcut, you just hold down this little steering wheel button on the steering wheel here, and it switches it off. That's that sorted. Engine-wise, the GV80 is available with either a 2.5 litre 4-cylinder petrol or a 3 litre straight 6 diesel. We've got the diesel here. Both come with an 8-speed automatic gearbox and 4-wheel drive as standard. There's no electric or plug-in hybrid GV80 for the moment. Genesis is going to be doing some electric models in the UK. The GV80 is not one of them, at least for the moment. Now, what that means is that as long as it's internal combustion only, the GV80 is very hard to recommend as a company car simply because of the higher tax rates that it attracts. For private buyers, however, there is a lot to like. Let's start with the diesel powertrain, which dishes up 274 horsepower and 434 pound-foot of torque for a 0 to 62 mph time of 7.5 seconds and official fuel economy of 33.1 miles per gallon. Now, on the performance front, there obviously are alternatives to the GV80 that can go quicker, but whether you would actually need to go quicker in a big SUV like this is perhaps debatable. The fact is, this straight 6 engine has lovely low down torque for just pootling around, but then when you do need to go faster, it does have enough urgency for overtaking. It's absolutely fine in that regard. And I'd also say that 6-cylinder engines just suit big SUVs like this so much better than 4-cylinder units. They're so much more muscular and more refined. Now, you might pay the price in terms of fuel economy. I think the 33 miles per gallon that Genesis quotes is actually really fairly accurate. On the motorway, you're going to get a bit more. Around town, you're going to get a bit less. So in our tests, we've seen generally between 30 and 35 miles per gallon. The 8-speed gearbox isn't the snappiest when you want to drive in a more sporting fashion, but in day-to-day use it slips between ratios smoothly. Smooth really is the word for this drivetrain. In fact, it's kind of the word for the whole car, really. Like a lot of these big SUVs, it's a vehicle that you just point at the horizon and let it waft you there. And in that sense, it's a great motorway car too. But there are two areas where I think it sort of shows that it's not as good as the opposition. One, it's not sporty. And I think that's fine. You know, Genesis didn't set this up to be a sporty car. There is a sport mode on the drive select here, but it doesn't turn this into a sporty SUV. The steering's too light and there's no sense of connection or urgency that you would want for something that's going to involve you in the driving experience. Two, and I think this is more problematic, is that the ride comfort is not as good as it feels like it should be. The car just fidgets a bit too much. I think a lot of that, you probably see it here, is probably down to having 22-inch wheels on this luxury line car rather than 20-inch wheels you get on premium line. I'll be intrigued to try a premium line to see how it compares. But as things stand in this car, it doesn't ride as well as something like an Audi Q7 on air suspension, and that's despite having this really clever adaptive suspension system that takes a feed from a forward-facing camera that reads the road and then adjusts the suspension accordingly. Now that all sounds incredibly clever, doesn't it? But I'm just not convinced it works terribly well. Hit a change in road surface, a bump or a pothole, and you'll know about it. An area where I think the GV80 really does shine is refinement. So despite the 22-inch wheels and correspondingly massive tyres, actually road noise is really well contained, as is wind noise. You feel very well isolated once you're inside the car, and that really does speak to kind of the depth of the engineering that's gone into the GV80, and it does totally dispel any doubts you might have about this feeling like a posh Hyundai. It doesn't feel like a posh Hyundai, it feels like a true premium car. All in all then, this is the kind of SUV that speaks of luxury and technology and perhaps value too. As mentioned earlier, the GV80 can be ordered in either premium line or luxury line. Both of them beep at really random times, can't help that. This is a luxury line, but both models come really well equipped. So premium line gives you things like keyless entry, LED headlights, these electrically adjustable seats all as standard. If you upgrade to luxury line like this, you're going to get the 22-inch wheels, a heated steering wheel, full Knapman leather, which feels lovely, and those separate heater controls for the back as well. So in terms of optional extras, it's really just your paint colour, the panoramic roof, and the optional 2 seats to turn it into a 7-seater that you need to think about. The list of safety equipment is extensive. There are 10 airbags throughout the car, plus the full suite of active systems such as lane keeping assist, autonomous emergency braking, and active systems that adapt to your driving style in the hope that they minimise false alarms. The blind spot alert even shows a live feed in the instrument display when you indicate. Genesis then wraps this all up into a purchasing process that is different from what you would traditionally go through when buying a car. So expect boutique Genesis studios in retail outlets rather than a traditional car showroom, and be prepared that you'll need to buy your Genesis online. It's not just buying the car that's different, but ownership too. For example, when a service is due, Genesis will come and collect your car and replace it with a like-for-like courtesy vehicle. And compared with rivals, things like having a 5-year warranty and 5 years or 50,000 miles of free servicing included in the price do make a difference. Now, we have said a lot of really good things about this GV80 in this video, but ultimately, because this is a new brand in the UK, buying one when residuals are unknown is still going to be a risk. The question is, would you be prepared to take that risk and buy one of these instead of something like an X5 or a Q7? Be sure to let us know. Please do remember to give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, as well as subscribing to the CarGurus UK YouTube channel for plenty more new and used car reviews. And when it comes to searching for your next car, remember you can find loads of great deals from top-rated dealers at cargurus.co.uk.